Hi, Lilo. Welcome to Movie Junk. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
This is definitely surreal. Before we begin, I mean, if you told me 25, 30 years ago that I'd be sitting down with you and getting a chance to talk, A Bronx Tale, The Sopranos. Just recently, we saw you in Made in Mexico. I mean, this is definitely surreal. I would never believe it. So definitely honored to have you on today.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And definitely want to jump right into Made in Mexico. I mean, we recently had the privilege of sitting down with Rodney, who directed, wrote, and co-starred with you in the film. How did you first hear about the role?
Rodney, does hair and makeup. He does hair and makeup for, Mario. And he was working on the Universal lot the day when I was on extra, when I was promoting my documentary, Wasted Talent, in late 2018. So when I go there, Tootie was there, and I think we met a long time ago. We knew we had some mutual friends like this guy Matt, and because he's from San Diego, so I remember a couple of guys I knew from LA that were from San Diego. They knew each other, and that's how we knew of each other, and we met briefly, many years ago.
Yeah.
But then I, saw him again on the Universal lot, and it was great to see him. I mean, you met him; he's a great guy. And we just started talking and exchanged numbers, and it wasn't then, but as we got to know each other better, then he mentioned that because he writes, that's not the only thing he writes. He writes a lot,
Yeah.
and he mentioned a couple of things that he was trying to do and writing and stuff like that, and then he mentioned this Made in Mexico, and I love acting, you know what I mean? So for me, like, it's playing something like that where it's like, it's a real challenge to be, an artist, to be an actor and, fall into, delve into this character and to, just change who you are and become this person. And it's a challenge. And, and as he said, we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of money to make that movie. I think they said the budget was like, $20,000, and we shot it in 6 days. So that makes that just makes it a little more difficult because you don't really have, what I mean. But I saw the film. I enjoyed it very much. I thought it was really well done. I was happy and pleased with what I did, and I hope that people that watch it and see it feel the same way.
Yeah. And this is a little bit of a different role for you, and also kind of what we're used to seeing in this genre, because you're a cartel boss, but you're a likable cartel boss. So it's pretty unique.
Yeah, like when people ask me, I kind of say like, the chemistry between the two of us, between Rodney and between, Tootie and I in the film, I kind of describe it as like the way it was like kind of like the way De Niro was with Billy Crystal in Analyze This. You know what I mean? It's kind of that like, he's like scared of this guy, but he actually likes him. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the same thing. And I think it worked well. I thought Tony and I had really, really. I mean, when you do it on set, it's one thing, and you feel good about it, and that's the most that you can really get out of it, and you just hope for the best. But then when I saw it, I said, "Wow, this good chemistry, it really translates on film." So I was really happy and pleased to see that, and very thankful. So very thankful to Rodney, to Mario Lopez, and just to everyone who gave me this opportunity. I mean, it's not only an opportunity to say, "Hey, do you want to be in the film?" But this is a character that they really had to trust me and say, I think this guy, he's trustworthy enough and has the ability to do that, and that says a lot. That speaks volumes, and I'm very flattered and to have played the role. And thank you so much.
Did you know going into the film that it was going to be, part drama, and also a lighthearted comedy film, or did that kind of just magic sort of happen during the shoot, or was that always the original intent?
Oh, that was the intention. That was what it was intended to be. And I like that. I like that aspect. I didn't, I wouldn't have liked it as much if it was like all about, dealing drugs and killing people and stuff like that. I like that it has that undertone that that's who this guy is and that's who he's surrounded by. But you know what? He's actually, the way the film was written and with Tootie, it kind of humanized this guy.
Yeah.
And to say, like, even this bad guy has a nice side to him. And everyone does. You just have to look for it. Some people you have to dig a little deeper than others, but you'll find it eventually. So
The line that kills me, and actually I mentioned this to Rodney also, is the part where he's talking himself out of not wanting to direct your film, and he's telling Ochoa that I don't want to direct this film. Writers write what they know, and
right.
you're like, George Lucas, he go to outer space, he meet Chewbacca.
Yeah, so you go see Chewbacca, like you went out there to see him. Come on, buddy, this is what you do. Got an imagination. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. And everyone that I know saw it really enjoyed it. They really enjoyed it. Even people that I know would tell me, it wasn't your best, or they really enjoyed it. Like some really tough critics, people that I know, they really enjoyed it. So I'm really happy about that. I
Yeah,
really am.
I loved it. I actually watched it twice. The first time I watched it, I was actually in Arizona, and I saw it in my hotel. I was attending the Talking Sopranos event that Steve Shariffa and Michael Imperioli, they were in town. So I'm already in Sopranos mood. And then I see you on the screen. I was like, what is this? So right away, boom, ordered it, watched it, loved it. And then, I was on vacation, so I didn't get a chance to fully digest it, watched it again, and just loved it too, man. I mean, it's really a treat. It's really a treat to watch.
Thank you, man. Really, and Rodney's great in the film. He really is. He really did a great job.
That's what I
And
told
he
him.
really hadn't done much acting,
I know, because
but he really did a great
a
job.
lot of the credit, I was like, you co-starred, you did a great job too. I was like, he was awesome in it.
Yeah, no, he was. No, he really should. He really did a great job.
Were you able to do any sort of ad-libbing in this and kind of bringing in your experience from some of your past roles, or what was written was basically what was in the final piece?
No. They weren't married to the writing. I mean, obviously, you have to keep the story going in a certain direction to tell the story that you want. So you have to mention certain key things to keep it going in that direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did. There's that one part where we're walking down the long thing, and I'm talking about how my kids got a degree in narco traffic, the narcotics trafficking. Some of that stuff that was all ad libbed. Where we were the real football, we were talking about playing foot, the real football and stuff like that. That was all ad libbed, And I thought that was great that they left it in the film. It was really funny,
And something that's unique too. I'm not sure if I'm sure a lot of fans do, but I'm sure some don't. But you're also actually Colombian. You were adopted by Italian parents. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, I was born in Bogota, Colombia,
Awesome.
in 1976, August 30th of 1976, and my first day in the States was January 1st, 1977. So I was a little baby, and New Year's Day was my first day here of 1977.
Awesome.
So what I'm basically saying is, even though I was born in South America and I have Colombian blood, I was raised by Italians from when I was a little baby, 4 months old. So I don't know if any of that Colombian, really translates in me to where the influence from a little baby and what I grew up around and came to know was pretty much all Italian. So,
Yeah. No.
which is, a great heritage and a great, beautiful people that I've been blessed to have been raised by and just around and grew up around in my whole life.
And you guys sort of leave the possibility of a sequel open. Would you be open to returning if this movie continues to take off?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, there's like, you can go in so many different directions with it, but you're right. There is I mean, they could bring my character into Hollywood now because he
Yeah.
maybe catches like the movie bug. Maybe he can start producing movie. I don't know, so whatever. But there's definitely, I would absolutely love to do more with that character.
Of course, and I'd love to, I'm sure obviously, I'm going to jump into the Sopranos, one of my all-time favorite shows. I actually had the privilege of meeting you at this past Sopranos Con. That was surreal meeting you, and so yeah, definitely excited that we were able to meet there and obviously have you on the podcast. But you joined
Yeah,
in.
they did a great job. They did a great job with
That was
the
awesome.
Sopranos con. Yeah, they did a great job.
That was my first time attending, and again, like I always carry this pride of being the best, Sopranos fan of all time. But you go there, they'll put you to shame. There's folks dressed up as Tony. They're lying down. I mean, that was surreal to see. Definitely a great program.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Sopranos. I mean, that's probably goes down as probably top three best shows ever. And just to say that I was even in one episode of that show, but I was, blessed and lucky enough to be in five. It's something that I'm very proud of, and so blessed to have had the opportunity to work with everyone. James Gandolfini, because we knew each other. I met him many years ago on the set of Crimson Tide. He was in Crimson Tide, so I knew him. That was 1994. I mean, I didn't really, we met and we spoke a few times here and there. I didn't want to. I didn't get to know him like we were best friends, but I got, met him while we were doing that. And then many years later, my agent sent me a script. It was this new show, The Sopranos. They wanted me to read for Brendan Filone, who was Christopher's best friend in the first season. I didn't end up getting the role, but they said, if the show gets picked up, we'll bring you back. If there's something right. So I didn't really think anything of it because the show hadn't even gotten picked up really yet. And it was just a concept. It was an idea, basically. So, as an actor, you have to learn how to not get down on every part you don't get. You can't let that really get you down, because then there's the next one and the next one and the next one. So that was what it was. So I didn't get the part. Next one. So I remember that was like toward the summer of like 98.
Yeah.
So then it was the end of 98 and I was watching TV and I saw the commercial on HBO for The Sopranos. And when I first saw it, and I remember reading the script and I knew the writing was really good and I knew it was really good. Then I saw like this trailer, this coming attraction, and I see Gandolfini like as the lead role. And from knowing him back then, I never in a million years knew that this guy can be that at that level, the best.
Wow.
He was a hell of an actor. Never, because he's nothing like that. He doesn't come across anything like that. He doesn't have an accent, a Jersey accent, nothing. You don't hear anything. He's just like a totally different person. So when I first saw that, I'm like, this guy? Like, I couldn't believe it. When I saw the first episode with the Ducks and just the way I knew that show was going to be something very, very special. He was unbelievable. And it's such a, I can't believe he's gone so young. He had so much more to give, that guy. As a human, as an actor. I mean, this guy, just, you think of like he did that, but he did Get Shorty, he did True Romance. And if you see Get Shorty, that's something totally different from Tony Soprano.
Exactly.
And then he did, and I just think as an actor, he had so much more. And it's such a shame that he died so young, But to say that I worked with that guy and to say that I was on that show, and then I actually got killed by Tony, that's something special. And I remember that day and I'll never, ever forget it in my whole life. And, when I went in that morning, I guess he was in character. So he didn't really because usually he was a little more talkative with me because he knew me. We already had that from back in the day. So it was and he was a regular guy. And when he saw me, he was like, hey man, it was like, hadn't seen each other, just like catching up. How you been? And this and that. And he was like a very friendly guy. But then that morning, he didn't come across as friendly. Like I was like, hey, and he couldn't be bothered. So I'm thinking to myself, did I do something wrong or, whatever. I didn't realize he was because he was going to kill me. So you don't want to pal around with the guy you're going to kill. And, you got to really be there. This is serious. And that's what it was. And I didn't realize it till later because at the end of that day, and we did, and it was, I think all the way around, I think that was a really, good scene. It was well shot, all the acting, everything. The writing, who wrote that, right?
Was that Terrence? Oh, that was. Mike, was it Michael or
Michael Imperioli.
Imperioli?
Yeah, he wrote that.
Wow, that's insane.
Come on, man. Are you sure you don't want to drink with some real sugar in it? Nah, this is all right. Can you imagine like that? Right? Just think about like they could have spoke about so many other different things, but to have made it about the soda. Are you sure you don't want to drink with some real sugar in it? He goes, there was only diet. Like that was like so perfect.
That sugar.
Like I don't like they it was the best way in the world they could have went. Like that writing was like on the money. How like right? I mean, just think about that, you know? And he's a great guy. I love that guy. Michael Imperioli. I love that guy. He, you know, we follow each other on Instagram and I did a show with him many years ago called Firehouse. It was a CBS show. Never got picked up. Richard Dean Anderson was going to be the lead. Burt Young, who was Paulie and Rocky, he was the fire chief. Edie Falco was on the show. She was an EMS girl. So, you know, and he knew my dad, rest in peace, because my dad was like, you know, was my biggest fan. He was, you know, old school Sicilian, would come on the set, he would take pictures, and he was a good man, my father, and everyone liked him. And when I posted a picture of my dad, I think it was his, I think it was Father's Day or something like that, because Michael and I, we follow each other, and and he left a comment, and he said that, you know, he said your dad was very proud of you, and he was a very good man. That meant a lot to me, you know, a lot, you know, it really, really did, and I love Michael for that. Oh, look, my cat, look, come on, Corbiani.
The speaking of the scene that you were just discussing, the scene where Tony and Big Pussy obviously meet your demise. So you mentioned that, you know, obviously we know now that Michael wrote that scene. So the part where you yell "mommy" right before you get killed, that wasn't ad-libbed at all. That was written in the script.
Yeah.
What
That
do you?
was all.
That was
Let me
brilliant.
tell you, like, one thing about The Sopranos, there wasn't much ad-libbing. They were, had to be pretty much verbatim. But so yeah, they didn't. They, you know, and The Sopranos had every script had a label on it, your name and your number, in case that, you know, like you can get in trouble for that. Like you really had to keep those, like you not to discuss any of the plots, any of the plot line, storyline with anyone. It was very secretive. The writing was just, you know, I mean, the best. It was the best. So you don't really want to, like I said, deviate from that writing. But mommy was in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mommy.
because I mean that was insane because like again, this guy's about to get killed, right? He's been pleading to let Tony know, like, hey, it was all Sean. But like you could say anything and like they just made again, like the soda, just such a genuine scene, such a unique scene, and just what made the show so brilliant. And you were amazing. You were a guy that was defeated and knew that he was about to get killed. It was insane how good you were in that scene.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
And we also had the privilege of interviewing Chris Tardio, you know, Sean Gismonte. You guys,
yeah, Chip and Dale. They called us Chip and Dale. Remember Silvio? Chip and Dale. Yeah.
and that first scene where you guys throw the coffee, you know, at the analyst, and the part where you're like, get back in your fucking office. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a little fun fact, a little kind of behind the scenes. But when you shoot a scene, the first shot is generally the wide. It's a master, so you cover the whole, you know, the whole whatever room it is or wherever you are, a big wide shot. And once you get that, then you start moving in for coverage, a close up, a two shot. And usually the master takes, because there's so much going on, it's a wide shot and there's so many moving parts that usually a master, the wide shot, you'll do more than the other shots just because everything, there's a higher probability of something going wrong because there's so much that it's covering and that it's seeing. But you know what? That was the first day on the set of The Sopranos. We did that because you got to understand, we're beating the guy up, chairs are flying. So there's not only a lot of acting, but there's a lot of a technical aspect in this scene because technically everything has to go right. You got chairs flying, you got this, so you got guys pulling focus. You know the focus is pulled a second too late. You got to redo it, Everything else went great, but the focus, oh, I lost focus. So now you got to do whatever it is. But we got it in one take. We got it in one take. Alan Coulter was the director. He directed that episode. And I remember he came up, he was like, "You guys are great." He goes, "We got it." And you got to understand, like The Sopranos was like the biggest show, it was like the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Because that was the second season.
Yeah.
So it was so highly anticipated at that point. You know what I mean? So you're doing this at the highest level there is. You're an actor, and for an actor at that time, that was like the highest level. That's The Sopranos. It doesn't get bigger than that. You're on The Sopranos. So, and I'm, like, you're still trying to digest that being on the set, but it's like such a huge show. And you're nervous. Like I've worked with, some pretty big name actors, but I'm still like so nervous. I'm there. This is The Sopranos. This is The Sopranos. So I'm like so nervous and don't know what to expect. But when we did that and we got it in one take, my confidence went from here to here, just like that. Because I'm saying, all right, we could hang. All right, we could hang. So it gave me like all the confidence in the world. And when you feel good, you do good. That's just the way it goes,
One of the best scenes in the entire show, not just the scenes that you were in, but the scene where Tony whispers and says, "Hey, go sweep the cheese under Still's chair."
Yeah.
And that was reminiscent of Goodfellas in a way. What was it like shooting that scene?
Oh, that was, you had Sinatra Jr. there.
Oh man.
Everybody was there. You had Davey Scatino was there. Johnny Sack. That was a great time because you got to understand. I was such a big fan of the show at that time, right? So now, and I loved Richie's character. I loved everyone's character, but how this guy Richie came out of nowhere in the second season. Yeah. And just like how bitter and angry he was. He just did all that time. Now he wants what he's got to get, and he's not afraid to express it. And he was great, David Proval.
Amazing.
So when I saw that, like that scene was like, whoa, I was in such awe. I go, look at this fucking lineup, right? And he's just to come in and just say that, look at this effing lineup. And then he says, "Johnny Sack, what are you doing here? What were they giving away free tokens at the tunnel?" That's like, you're like, this guy, how you expect to make a dime with this Stonewaller? He's looking at him and then he sees this guy. So to me, I'm taking this all in. It's like watching an episode of The Sopranos, but watching it on stage because you're right there and you're in the, you know what I mean? Like I was in the audience, like I really wasn't in the scene because like of everything and just how it unfolded. And then, Richie, Sinatra Jr. was a lot. It was great. It was, it took us a few days to shoot. That was a lot. Because if you remember, you had so much going on. He's sitting over there. He's calling you from over there. This guy's back there. Now he's, you got to go sweep over there. And, so there's so much coverage. I think that took us like about 4 days to shoot all that.
Yeah, I mean, that is a surreal lineup. I mean, you mentioned Frank Sinatra Jr. You also got the T-1000 in there sitting with you too, Robert Patrick. Yeah. So yeah, and again, that was just such a brilliant scene. And I was, again, that scene was just so reminiscent of Goodfellas. And it was just kind of funny seeing how that was incorporated in the show as well too. And you wouldn't know as a fan that something like that would take 4 days to shoot. You would think it was something that would be done in just a few hours, but there was so much detail, and that was unbelievable. Yeah,
that was a lot. But it's all worth it when you watch it, and you think, wow, 4 days. That scene was 35 seconds, but you know what? It was so good. It translated so well that it's all worth it.
Did you know going in that your character was going to last one season, or did you find that out towards the last?
No, I knew. Awesome. I knew there would be an early demise. But hey, like I said, I was just happy to be there. I would have taken one episode. I would have taken one line. I would have taken one line, something, anything I would have taken. But to have had like the a nice a character with a nice arc. It was definitely a blessing.
Well, your character was definitely memorable. It cost Tony a lot of pain after your character was killed because now he was worried he was going to get arrested. One of the most debated questions is whether or not Tony got killed in the last episode. What was your take? Did you think Tony survived, or do you think he was whacked at the end?
No, I don't think anything happened. I think that's just they were still eating at the diner. Nothing happened.
Yeah,
I think that I don't think he got arrested. I don't think anything. I think it was just them eating at that diner or wherever they were, and I think it just ended.
yeah.
I would have liked to. I would have liked to. You know, I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked to have seen a movie like they did Entourage, but
Yeah,
I would like to have seen it a lot sooner when he was still alive, where you could have put him in the movie, and then maybe put something even like he gets killed or he goes to prison. Those are two very plausible, right? Like things that are likely that would happen to someone like that. You
yeah.
know?
I'm the type to where if I don't see it on screen, it didn't happen. And I'm having a hard time believing that all these years would have gone by and we wouldn't have gotten a Sopranos movie with James Gandolfini if he'd survived. I think we definitely would have. And I think also with him passing, it kind of leans because there's now you after the Many Saints came out, you hear the director, mention that they shot the scenes of the finale with the intent of Tony getting killed, right? So I think that more comes out with James passing. I think, like you mentioned, it would have been cool to see like a film like how Entourage did, but we got the Many Saints instead, which actually leads into my next question. Did you get a chance to watch it, and what was your take on the Many Saints of Newark?
You know, I did see it. I saw it in the theater. Uh, I thought there were certain things that were okay, but I didn't get the information that I needed. The things that I wanted to learn from the film, just to like kind of put me and explain to me why it was the way it was and where Tony came from. Um, I just wish there was a little more information and a little more of Tony's character, just the metamorphosis of where he started and how he became Tony Soprano.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I really wanted to see in the Many Saints was Feach Lamana. I wanted to see Tony and Jackie, break up the card game. That would have been cool to kind of see a young Feach. But yeah, I know David Chase just got a 5-year deal, so hopefully we get more Sopranos content via a series or a movie.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was done on purpose. I really wouldn't be surprised if that was done on purpose,
Yeah,
kind of like a diversion, kind of like some kind of diversion. Um, I don't know. But then again, the shoot, like even when you make The Godfather 3, like you have very big shoes to fill. And the show is like something that we've, never seen before. And I don't really think we'll ever see again. And I think if it had been a standalone piece, the expectations wouldn't have been as high. And I think that maybe it would have been digested a little differently. And maybe, but I just think, you know what it is? It's like when you think The Sopranos and you don't see Tony, something that's Sopranos, and you don't see Gandolfini, it almost seems like it's incomplete. It's like, how could this be The Sopranos if that guy's not here? You know what I mean? It's like it was, I don't know. That's all.
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's again, losing James was difficult. I'm a fan, but just because I watched him for so many years and still, watch him. I got to watch Sopranos at least twice a year. It's a ritual, and I felt like I lost somebody. So definitely, for you guys getting a chance to meet him in person and getting to work with him, I'm sure it's a lot more deep. But I kind of feel that too. Like, we as a fan, we want to see more Tony, and I'm just rooting that we get to get that with some more content, hopefully over the years. Uh,
Yeah.
I do.
I actually watched the, go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, please, please.
No, I was saying I did recently watch the scene when Jimmy Altieri gets killed.
Mhm. Yeah, that was good.
Jimmy Altieri, yeah, that was a great scene. That was a great scene. And just like the way Uncle Junior says, and make sure you leave a message for everybody else. And he wasn't kidding, just the way the scene, the way it ended. But the dialogue in that was great. When he says, "Do you think I put on enough cologne?" He says, "You smell like Paco Rabanne died up and crawled up your ass." Like, come on, man. Smell, you know. And I saw some recently on some on Instagram. It had the picture of Silvio, and they said, "What's your favorite line, Silvio line?" And to me, it had to be when he said, "Where'd you get this bread? The Bread Museum?"
Oh,
That was the best.
yeah.
You remember when he said that? "Where did you get this bread? The Bread Museum." That was funny. But,
There's many
yeah,
one-liners that are just so memorable that you can just go on, And I find myself, especially when I'm in the midst of rewatching the show, I start talking like I'm in The Sopranos. You just can't help it. You start using lines on just everyday people. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
yeah, yeah. No, I know.
I do want to shift into A Bronx Tale, which is
Sure,
one of the best,
sure.
not just mob movies, but just movies of all time. And it's a timeless film. It's a movie that you can watch at any point, even if you watch it today, it still has the same message resonates. But if I'm not mistaken, this was your first role. You were discovered on Jones Beach, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was 1992. I was 15, going to be 16. Summer vacation, July 5th, 1992. Found me on the beach. We had heard about the film, my friends and I. It was like a big deal at that time. It was like, there was, flyers out, and it was on the radio, and they were going to schools, local schools. And, I heard about it, never really put much thought into it because I thought I would never get this role. It's like, life changing stuff. And I didn't think that was going to happen to someone such as myself. So then on that day, they found me on the beach. They thought I had the right look. They called me in to read. Then we found out, because I never even acted, so I didn't even know. I found out myself that day that I did have, some acting ability. So they liked what they saw. This was back in the day with the VHS cameras. So they recorded everything I did, sent it down to Tribeca. I guess De Niro and whoever else watched the tapes, liked what I did, and wanted me to come down to Tribeca to 375 Greenwich Street. And when I got there, there was so many, like a lot of kids there. It was very intimidating. And then I got called back, and as I getting called back, there were less and less kids, to the point where it was only me. By this point, I met De Niro. We started working together. I was reading with all different kids to play my friends, different combinations. And I also read with a lot of different girls to, the part. See, because initially the kid who shot Sonny at the end of the movie, who's my good friend, Phil Garbarino, he was supposed to get my role. He was supposed to be C. And then when they found me, they went with me. And Phil was 21, I was 16. So I guess they just decided that the film would be better with someone younger, that it's just a better story. It's more believable, to where, like at 21, you may have already made the decision in which way you're going to go.
You're already a man.
But I think, yeah, by 16, you really didn't yet.
Yeah.
They may have thought the film worked better that way. They cast me. But, Phil, but, it is what it is. But Phil, I feel so bad sometimes. I think about it, but it was, him against me, because he still is my good friend. And, but yeah, they told me, De Niro said, "I want you to dress like you're going to church." Because this is after like a few weeks, 2, 3 weeks of every single day, all day long, till like, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. He said, "Dress like you're going to church. We're going to do a screen test. We're going to put you on film, and we're going to see how you look." And I thought by this point I had the part, because there was no one else there. So I went dressed up. We were in the Tribeca screening room waiting, and they had this other room where they had lights and everything set up. And they were doing everyone that day. So they were reading for the younger kid, the friends, older and younger groups, the girl, the brother, everyone. So I guess the smaller roles went first. So at the end, so now I didn't even know, before I get to that, this kid comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Phil Garbarino." I'm reading for Calogero also. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Like, so he's got to be good if he got to this point.
Yeah.
So there's something. Yeah, he didn't just tell him to come for no reason. So now I wasn't 100% defeated, but I was a little slightly defeated because I'm like, oh my god, like because I thought all I had to do was show up that day. They
Yeah.
put me on film and they tell me a couple days, like, yeah, you got the part. But when this guy came, now I'm like, maybe I don't have the part. Maybe maybe because I look like De Niro's not enough.
Yeah.
They could be like, all right, he looks like the mother, but he could still be De Niro's son.
Yeah.
He's a Bronx kid. He talks like, he speaks like a kid from the Bronx. He acts like a kid from the Bronx. He's from the Bronx. Yeah. So I'm like, wow, it's Yonkers. He's from the Bronx. So everybody left. It was me against him. And we were doing scenes back and forth. So then it got to the scene when Sonny smacks me, thinks that I put a bomb in his car. He went first. My father and I, rest in peace. He was there. We were outside. We heard everything. They're smacking this kid so hard.
Oh man.
They're really smacking him around. So my father and I like looking at each other like, I'm like, they're gonna do that to you now? So he came out, his hair he was all disheveled, his buttons ripped. He had like these tan slacks with like this yellowish like silk shirt with short sleeves, and he had shoes on. And I had black slacks on, black shoes, and a white button-down t-shirt with short sleeves. So he came out, he was all disheveled, and he told me, good luck. He was like all shaken up, like he got beat up. Got beat up. His handprints on his face. So then I remember he went into the bathroom or wherever. So now they call me in. I was already nervous just because this is a big scene and it demands, it's a lot. It's a lot of emotion. You got to start crying in front of, cameras and strangers. But this is it. This is your shot. So you have to rise to the occasion. You'll never get this shot again. This is it. So I went in, we did this scene. And I'm like getting ready for these guys to like smack me around. And then they're like, oh, wow, Lilo, that was great. And then I realized like they never smacked me. They never put their hands on me. Just maybe a little bit, like a little shaken up, but not the actual smacking. Yeah. So I didn't know. I didn't know why. But, later on, I spoke to Bob De Niro and I said, hey, Bob, remember that day when we did that scene at the screen test, you guys, like physically assaulted Phil? But you didn't hit, like you didn't touch me. And he said, we didn't need to. He said, you did it. You did it. You did what we wanted you to do without that. So it was like the best compliment ever.
Did Jack have any say as far as who would play Calogero, or was it solely up to Robert? Or did you have to screen test with Chaz too in order to like kind of what was the deciding factor?
I'm sure Chaz, De Niro's a great guy and he's very respectful. So I'm sure he definitely respected Chaz's decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he definitely has some say. I would say maybe 25% and De Niro 75%. Because I think it was a great story. Chaz was great in it. Yeah. But I don't know if the film gets made without De Niro.
Yeah.
I don't think not at that level, because back then, that was 1992. That was like a $15-20 million budget. That was a lot more money than it is today, back in 1992. And that was Savoy Pictures. But I think, it was a beautiful screenplay, though. It really was. It was very well written. It was great. And so there, that's Chaz's. So, but I would say 25%, 75%.
And also, too, the roles are essentially reversed. And we're used to seeing, Robert play the mob guy. So he's kind of taking a back seat, so to speak, with Sonny. So we're seeing him in a different role. And we obviously know, that Robert De Niro is multidimensional, but it was great seeing him kind of be, kind of the regular guy, and then having someone else be the mob guy in the film.
One of his most underrated roles. He was great as Lorenzo. This is what I heard. I don't know if this is true, but I heard that at one time that the Bregmans, Martin Bregman, who did Sea of Love, Scarface, Carlito's Way, he optioned the script of Bronx Tale, and the way they wanted to do it was De Niro was going to play the bus driver, and Al Pacino, because that's their guy, that's who they used, was going to play Sonny. I mean, you can't. I mean, Al Pacino's tremendous, but Chaz was so great in that, and I respect Chaz for sticking to his guns
Yeah.
and not saying, you know what, it's Pacino, let him do it. Let me just get this movie made. Finally, no, he didn't say that. He stuck to his guns, and he was adamant about playing Sonny. And I really think he hit a grand slam home run with his performance. He really did. So it's not what you were used to seeing as a gangster. You weren't used to seeing that tall, thin guy,
Yeah.
and just the way he was very slick. And it was like a more slick kind of gangster, more caring, and some of the knowledge and some of the things and the wisdom that he shared, that his character shared with the younger character. It was special. It definitely was. Like, I could watch it now because I'm older now. So now I watch it as a kid. When I was closer to that age, I watched it as, that's me. That's me. That's not Calogero. That's Lilo playing Calogero. Now that I'm older and I'm further removed from who that guy was, that character, I can actually watch it and say, like, wow, that was something really beautiful to have been part of. And Chaz was, really tremendous.
And obviously too, I mean, landing the role is one thing, but your performance was amazing. I mean, because still you don't know what you're capable of doing yet. You're kind of, I'm assuming you're kind of figuring this out as you're going. You have amazing individuals that can kind of guide you. But was there a point to where you're like, I don't know if I can do this? Maybe I'm a little over my head, or did you always know that, I'm the right man for the job?
No, I didn't. I thought physically, because I look like De Niro, that picture, like you look at the picture, I would be picture perfect because I look like I could be his son. But now you have this task of carrying a major motion picture.
Yeah.
Like literally, because it was, because like there was a lot. You got to understand, this is a time in my life also that like just as C was at the crossroads, so was Lilo.
Yeah.
And all these new discoveries were happening simultaneously as this special experience falls on your lap, because basically that's what happens. It just fell on my lap, and it happened so easy. But I knew that I had the appearance part covered.
Yeah.
I can pass for his son. But as far as being, the level of actor to be able to carry this film and hold my own with a heavyweight such as Bob De Niro, it was very intimidating. And I prayed to God every single night, like, please let me not make a fool out of these people or myself, because they're giving me something so big. They're trusting me with something. De Niro's like one of the best to ever do it. And for him, it's his directorial debut. And for him to say this, I want you to, carry this, my legacy as an actor now into a director. And I want you to play this lead role as my son. Oh, and now, like, I was De Niro's biggest fan just because everyone told me you look like this guy. And then I would study his movies and reenact all these scenes with my brother and do the tattoos like Kate Fee. I grew my hair, like I was like that, like obsessed with his acting. And, so now it's like, now I'm actually here, like a dream, like dreams do come true, because I was living my dream every day on that set. This is like, to have worked with this man. I got to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't think I thought, I just hoped and prayed that I would be enough and I would be good enough. But I didn't necessarily think that, I could do this. No, I didn't think that at all. I knew that it was a very tall order. I know it was a big responsibility. And I just hoped to God that, every day that I went to work, I was up for that responsibility.
Yeah, no, you were definitely more than good enough. It's, again, I can't picture anyone else, playing that role. And it's amazing, someone with no acting experience can go in and then just kill it. It was a role, just meant for you. And I can't picture anyone else playing Calogero besides you, Lilo.
Thank you, brother.
Is there a scene, and I'm sure there's many scenes, but is there one scene that kind of resonates with you the most, that you, I don't know if it's necessarily that you kind of learned from it the most, or was the most impactful for you to shoot, or maybe the hardest for you to shoot?
I would, I got to say the scene with the bikers, because you did mention the word impactful. And that really did have an impact on me because that's the first time I really saw what goes into making a film. And that, when I saw that scene, it's when it told me that every single person on this set, whether they're on the crew, a grip, an electric, whoever it was, that every single person on this set is just as important as the next guy because there was all these moving parts. You got so much, everything has to go right. So it's like if this guy's department lacks, it's gonna show in the bottom line, the overall. And I realized like, wow, this is really something. People, your average person does not realize the hard work that goes into making a film. Like with that film with the bikers, because De Niro, like I've worked on a lot of other films where there's just not the budget to like shoot 90 different angles and different, so much coverage that you kind of just got to know what you want, get in and get out and go to the next scene. But because De Niro was like, this is directorial debut, he wanted to have more than what he needed. We shot so much coverage and there was a lot of coverage to shoot. So every take, like you say, even this, you got this, you got to bust everything up. That's just on a take. You didn't even get the shot. So you got to reset, take you 45 minutes just to do another take from the same angle. It's not like you even reset the camera and relit it and now you're looking this way. You're looking the same exact way. It's the same setup. It's the same lighting. You just got to reset for 45 minutes because you just destroyed everything and it's got to look brand new to do the same shot again. And then you may have to do it 3 or 4 more times. So you got there early in the morning, you lit, you blocked it, everybody, you rehearsed it, you did what you're going to do in the scene. So now everyone gets an idea of where the movement's going to be. You start putting down marks, and then you get stand-ins in, you light it up, and then you're in hair and makeup, they're lighting the scene with the stand-ins, you come back, everything is ready. So now you just got to do it. So now say you had a 6 o'clock in the morning call time, you don't get on the set, you don't start shooting until like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So it's 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you got lunch. You didn't even get the first shot and it's already lunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you think about it, but there's no way that scene could have been as good as it was had you not gotten all that coverage. Yeah. It was so good because you saw so much go. There was a lot going on. There was a huge fight. Like these bikers and these gangsters are trying to kill each other in that bar.
Great song.
And there was a lot of handheld. It was so, the way it was shot. And we had the DP was Reynaldo Villalobos and the main camera operator was Craig DeBona. So all these guys were some of the best. These are the best in their craft. These guys, this was all this was like the dream team. De Niro put all the best together. He knew this is this has got to be right. So just so much you learn, not only about being an actor and what goes into it, but you actually love this kind of stuff. And it's look at this guy. What's he looking through? The DP's looking through this. I'm some 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid wet behind the ears. I barely know what the camera looks like. So now this guy's looking through this. And I got pictures because I always used to love to look through the camera and look all this other stuff. And just the whole term movie magic. Some of this stuff is so magical because of the way you cheat things, the way you put the camera a certain place, or just with inserts or the way you cheat it. You may have been there and now you're on the totally other side of the room, but the way they cheated, it looks like you didn't move. And just those are little cheats. I mean, there's cheats, forget it, but you just learn the whole art. This is a real art to it. And I loved it. And, and that film, A Bronx Tale, I would say I learned the most just because I knew the least. So there's so much, room to fill with this kind of knowledge. But I took it all in and I loved it so much, and I still do. But on that set is where I could probably say I learned the most, just because of everything that was going on, who was there, and De Niro really put a lot into that, and I know he wanted it to be special, and thank God it did. It did turn out to be a pretty special film.
Absolutely. And also, to me, I don't want to miss out on the crew that you guys had. I mean, you had an amazing crew. Joseph D'Onofrio, who I had the privilege of also interviewing, and Louis Venaria, and Dominic Lubrandozzi was trying to sell you guys the gun too. I mean, you look and like you can't really. Everyone's so young, and it's like you can't really recognize everybody and the stars that you guys have all become. I mean, it's amazing the casting, right? I mean, I don't think it was by coincidence. I mean, the right people were in the roles, and just look at how amazingly talented, and just the content that we got from all you guys. Everyone had an intricate part in the scene. It was just unbelievable. It's truly magic.
No, everybody was, yeah, everybody was great in the film, and there was just like, the casting was perfect. De Niro went above and beyond. He made that film as possibly good as it could have been made.
I definitely want to sneak in at least one Renaissance Man question, because this movie was awesome, and this is right after A Bronx Tale. And you mentioned that you worked on doing De Niro impersonations, and you do one in Renaissance Man, where you're sitting there and you're holding the guy in the locker room and you do the De Niro impression.
Yeah.
That Renaissance Man was awesome. Can you share just maybe one story with maybe working with Danny DeVito?
Well, Danny DeVito, I can share one story, but it's not really about Renaissance Man. It's when we first met, right? We met for this film. It never got made, but it was called Jersey. Danny DeVito's production company was called Jersey Productions. If you look, they're one of the producers on Pulp Fiction. Jersey Productions. It was really big production company. So there was this film called Jersey, and I remember they were bringing actors in. They would meet with actors, and then you would make it to the next level, which would be you would be able to sit at the table, and there would be a read through. Okay. DeVito, this was the first time I met DeVito. I knew he was going to be there, and I was going to sit with DeVito. I was going to go in the room and sit with DeVito. So, I think of Louis De Palma and all these great characters. He's a genius. Danny DeVito is a comedic genius. The guy's a genius. So I knew I'd be going in the room, and this guy's a genius. Some of the stuff he's done. So I was a little nervous. So I walked in, and he was really, he's a great guy. You know what I mean? He likes to laugh, and he's got, he's already. And I was like, all right, made me feel comfortable just the way he shook my hand, So we started talking, and I mentioned to him. He mentioned to me. He says He says my family is Albanian. We're of Albanian descent, but we're from Calabria. I was like, oh yeah, I know. Those are called Igegi, because my mother's Calabrese. And those Albanians that are in that region, they're called Igegida.
Wow.
He was like, yeah, Igegida. How did you know that? So that's what we spoke about. He could not believe that I knew about the Albanians in Calabria and what they were called. They were called Igegi. We call him Igegi, but the way he said Igegi, but it was there, that Igegi, like it was there. You know what I mean? So he was really surprised, and he found me very interesting because of that. Because I don't think he's ever spoke to anybody my age that knew about Igegi, So he liked that, and then that film never happened. I remember I got to the next level. We did the read through. I met Nick Turturro was there. And my friend Louis Venaria was there, who played Crazy Mario. He made it to the next level. So he was there, but the film never went. But then after Bronx Tale, had an agent. I was with William Morris. Frank Frateroli was my agent. He started sending me out. And then I get the Renaissance Man script. And, it was Penny Marshall, Laverne and Shirley. So, and I knew Penny was a Bronx lady, and so I went in to read. We read at the Directors Guild. I think it was on 57th, that builder, or the Writers Guild, right near the Russian Tea Room on 57th. It was right next door. That's where I met Penny Marshall. And I remember I went in to read, and I remember it was summer of '93, and I remember she had Yankee tickets, and she couldn't go to the game. She asked me, she goes, "You want Yankee tickets?" She said, "No, you want Yankee tickets?" And I said, "Yeah, right." She was great, Penny. Because like the way she used to talk, like she used to like yell at me like she was like my mom, but it was like a not like an endearing way, not like some, you know what I mean? When she used to tell me to put the glasses on, Layla, put your glasses on. But she's gone too. Another one, so sad, you know. Penny Marshall's, yeah. So I read, but like this was a big studio movie. I think it was Touchstone. It was a big studio movie, and the way Bronx Tale was done, that was not the conventional way of making a film. Go hire people that have no experience and just hope to God that it turns out okay. They took a big gamble with that.
Yeah.
And that was Savoy Pictures, but they had De Niro. De Niro was there to say this is the way I want to do it. So he kind of co-signed, that it would be okay if we do it this way, and he was right. But Renaissance Man was a big studio film, and I don't know if they wanted to give me that role until they really saw me act. Like an audition is one thing. Robert De Niro screened A Bronx Tale for Penny Marshall so that she could see it. And I have a feeling that's a big reason why I got the role. So thank you to Bob De Niro for that. He definitely looked out, and I really appreciate that. Because he's probably saying, like, who knows if they're going to hire him? Let them see the film. And she saw it, and obviously liked it very much, and cast me in the film. So
Yeah. No,
and that was my first time out in Los Angeles. It was the first time I went out west.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an amazing film, and again, just the different talented legends that you've worked with throughout your career, and obviously I'm excited to see you. And obviously, still busy, and I definitely want to see you continue to work. And are you able to share some of your upcoming projects that we could see? And I know Made in Mexico is out, and fans can see it on madeinmexicofilm.com.
Yeah.
But are you able to share
Uh,
some other projects as well?
yeah, I just did the film Sleepyhead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I posted on my Instagram. I posted the one scene when the guy walks into the liquor store. Guy comes in with the mask, but that's a friend of mine, James Hilger. He wrote it. A friend of ours, Ricky Nardis, produced it. We're all local guys, and it's a really, really awesome script. The film takes place in hell, and it's a really cool little ride, and it's so well written. Some great characters. So we just did that. I'm the lead in that. I did a short film. In the pandemic, everything slowed it down a little bit because we did this back at the end of 2019. But I spoke to the writer director. He says they're almost done coloring and it should be out very soon. And this is with Jamie Lynn Sigler from The Sopranos. It's called I'm on Fire. It's kind of a short about child abuse, and Bruce Springsteen gave us a song for the film, I'm on Fire. I'm very excited about that. I'm seeing some of it. I've seen it all. It wasn't even really done yet. It wasn't finished editing or colored, but it's really, really great. Jamie Lynn Sigler is tremendous in the role. Really, really tremendous. So I'm excited about that as well, and I can't wait for that to come out. Oh, and also I want to mention one other film called The Fury. My friend Victor Rios, he wrote and directed it, where I play a member of law enforcement. So, and I know there may be some resistance, but it's a vigilante film. It's kind of like a quid pro quo. There's these corrupt cops that this one guy who comes back in a mask wants this other cop to uncover all these dirty cops. And then this cop tells him that, well, listen, if you want me to do that for you, there's these people out there killing people. There's this one club owner killing all these women. We can't get them. We have nothing. We don't have enough to convict them. And then there was another guy who kills who kills a little girl, and he's gone. And and they want to find that guy and stuff. So it's pretty cool. It's shot really well. It's really exciting, and some really really good action stuff. So excited about that as well.
Amazing, amazing. No, definitely, we can't wait to share these films, obviously, as they come out. And we have the link of madeinmexicofilm.com. We'll reshare that as well too. And Lilo, just wanted to again thank you for joining. I can talk to you for hours, and again, this is just surreal. I never thought that I get a chance to sit down and just be able to talk about all these films that have really impacted me, you know, in a way. They're some of my all-time favorites. But getting to hear these stories from you, I can't thank you enough. I mean, it was just truly an honor to have you on today.
My pleasure, bro. Thank you. So thank you for the opportunity of having me on the show and for me to be able to share what I just shared with everyone. So thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hope to talk soon and enjoy your evening. Thank you.
You too, brother. Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you.